Hi everyone, it's Michelle from Scrap Secrets and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is part of a hashtag hop for Team Tiny. It's all about the interactive cards. We're going to be making an interlocking interactive Valentine's Day card using two stamp sets, one from Kindred Stamps, this is called Cupid's Crew, and then another one from Concord and Ninth. This is the Woven Plaid background, and I believe we're going to do a tone-on-tone with this. This is all kind of by the seat of my pants because I don't really have an idea. Normally when I do a type of interactive card that I haven't done before, I usually use copy paper and go ahead and do a kind of a like template. I'm living a little bit wild today and I'm not doing that, so bear with me. So let's get started. Here's a picture of the card that we're going to make, and the supplies that I used are 2 square dies. I used the larger square to cut 2 out of the blue cardstock. I used the smaller square to cut the middle out because that's going to be the connector piece for this interactive card. Also cut a piece of white cardstock from the smaller square. And then I have a red and pink piece of cardstock, and we'll talk about that as we go through. The next thing that we want to do is ink up the main image, the one that's going to go into that little frame piece to connect the interactive card. And I chose the koala bear eating the chocolates from the Kindred Stamps Cupid Crew stamp set. You can see I'm running my hands over the stamp because it's brand new. I've never used it before and wanted to get off any film that may have been left over from production before I inked it up with the MFT Extreme Black Ink. Now I did ink this up several times because it was new, but I only showed you guys me inking it up once. I don't think you need to sit there and watch me ink it up a couple times, but you guys get the idea. And now we're gonna work on the pattern piece of paper. This stamp set is from Concord and Ninth. It's the Woven Plaid background. So I put it in my MISTI and you see that it is so sticky that it picks up my paper, even with the repositionable tape that I put on the back of it. I put it in the wrong spot, so I moved it down a little bit, and now it will be in the perfect spot so that the entire piece will get stamped. I went back and forth with what color to use, of ink to use. I chose Simon Hurley's Piggyback ink. Not really sure how I feel about this ink. Maybe it was because the stamp was new. I just didn't really love the way that it's stamped. I do need to use them a little bit more. They might be more of a technique-based ink, and maybe it's just the user, because that's what happens a lot. There's a lot of user errors on my end. So we'll see. I'm going to hold off judgment on them until I've used them to do some techniques too. So you see, that's with about 3 times of stamping, and I just didn't think it came out real well. There were areas that were much darker and other ones that were much lighter. But we're going to use that piece later on, so don't worry about it. We don't waste anything. I also took another piece of cardstock, and I apologize, I don't think I told you the dimensions. They are 4 by 5 inches. Took the same size, and I used the Concord and Ninth Ballet slippers. I did ink this up a couple times, and it did stamp a little bit better. I used my Stamp-A-Majig tool to kind of press it down, but I like the way that came out better. We're going to use that for the front of the card. Now this is the card base, and it's 4 1/4 by 11, and you're going to score both ends at 2 3/4. Just flip it over. Instead of me giving you a second measurement, I just did 2 3/4. And I'm going to fold in on the first score mark and burnish it, and then turn to the other side and not really worry about what their score mark is. I just want to make sure that the 2 pieces meet and there's no gap in the very front. And then I'm just going to work on the burnish the score marks. So you saw the pattern piece of paper. We're going to cut that in half off screen. Now we're going to color the koala bear, and we are going to be using the E29 and E79 markers for the candy. For the koala bear's fur, we're going to use C5, C3, 1, 0, and 0, 0. For his nose, we're going to use W7. For the candy box, we're going to use B02 and 04. For the bow on the box, we're going to use RV02 and RV21. And then for the ears, the mouth, and the cheeks, we're going to use R20. Now while I'm coloring in, and you guys can just kind of watch what I do, there's nothing really fancy done with this at all. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the hop. If you don't know what Team Tiny is, we are a collection of YouTube channels that have less than 1,000 subscribers who are very interested in growing their channels through these hops. We have 2 a month, and they are hashtag driven. So there will be a hashtag in my title as well as in the description box. So all you have to do is click on that hashtag rather than follow a list of people. You just click on the hashtag and you'll see all of the videos for everyone who is participating. We generally keep it to about 10 to 15 people per hop so that it's pretty manageable for everyone to watch, and then everyone gets to participate in the different hops. So we do generally do 2 a month. So please check everybody's channels out. There are so many great artists out there. You're gonna learn so many different ideas and techniques, and hopefully you will leave them some comments, some likes, and if you really like their stuff, consider subscribing, because that's what we're trying to do, is just extend our reach. And again, there are so many super talented artists that are on these hops, so we would appreciate it if everybody would, just visit the channels and see what you like. So anyway, we'll get back to the coloring. I am almost done, so I'm just coloring in the bow here. This is a little bit boring. Like I said, I really don't do anything super exciting, super technique driven. I'm just kind of coloring in and doing a little bit of shading. I am not great with Copic coloring. That's one of the things that I really want to work on this year. I've taken a couple of classes with Courtney Krieber, and every time I'm like, I know what I'm doing, and then I sit down to color, especially when I'm doing a video, and it's like everything goes out the window. So that's one of the skills that I want to practice this year. It is hard to color on camera because you're trying to go faster than you probably normally would. So it's a little bit of pressure too. So I may not always show my coloring on camera just because of that. So anyway, let's move on with the card. So now I've cut that piece in half, and that was I cut it at 2.5, so it's 2.5 by 4, and I'm going to glue the sides down with my ATG. And then we're going to work on the very fun part, which is the mechanism the interactive part of it, the part that keeps the card closed and interlocks with each other. So here are the 2 frames that I made, and the reason that I made 2 is because I wanted it to be a little bit sturdier. I felt that one piece, even though it's a little bit thicker cardstock, was just not enough. And now this was overkill. I definitely didn't have to put glue on both sides, and I realized after I started putting glue on it, I'm like, what am I doing? So I'm going to glue the 2 pieces of the frame together and then just make sure that that picture fits in there nicely. Now I'm going to put it over top of both sides. You only want to put glue on the left-hand side, so like halfway on the left. So anything that's on the left side of the flap, that's where you want to have glue. You want to open it up and make sure there's no glue outside of it, because you don't want to glue your card shut. Then what you want to do is put your picture piece in there, or whatever the closure is, and you're going to want to put glue only on the right side, because again, you don't want to glue it shut. So there you go. You see me putting that on, and then I'm going to pop that picture in there, and then carefully pull that frame up so that it's in there. So there you go. So there is the interlocking mechanism. Now, because you can see the coloring on the back, because I used Copic markers, I'm going to take one of those smaller blue squares that I cut out from the middle of the frame, put some glue on it, and glue it to the back so that you can't see. You could make it white, it doesn't really matter, but this just gives the card a little bit of extra pop with the blue because the frame's on the front. So it kind of looked funny to me just to have that little blue piece there. I understand why I had to put it there, because you could see the coloring on the back. So I was trying to figure out what I really should do. So I take the other blue piece and I'm going to ink it up I'm going to ink up a sentiment to stamp on the inside. And this says Hugs and Kisses, and we're going to use that same MFT Extreme Black Ink. I did ink this up a couple times, again, because it's on, this cardstock is a little bit textured and it's a new stamp. So textured plus new stamp equals stamping it a couple times. Now here we go. We're going to use that piece that I stamped in the Piggyback ink, use the ATG gun and use it on the inside. Again, I just think it finished the piece a little bit. And then we are going to glue the sentiment piece right to the middle of that. We're going to use the honeybee glue. And that's what I was using the whole time. This is the honeybee precision glue. I'm going to hold it in place, glue side up on the back of that square, and then place it down so that it actually lines right up with that. You don't have to, but that's just what I chose to do. And I'm going to show you the interlocking piece. And that's it. That's the card for the, oh, I do go back in with a, I do go back in with a white Jelly Roll pen to add a little bit of details. I add a couple dots on the cheeks. I add like little highlights on the candies, a little highlight on his nose. I actually bring that back out. And I put some eyelashes on the sides of the eyes. And I just think that that koala bear is super, super cute. And that is basically the card for the day. There you go. You see me bring that back in to put the highlight on the nose. There's the card. Here's some pictures. I hope you guys enjoyed this hop and this card, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the hop. Hop over to everybody's and leave them some love, and I will see you guys again real soon for another video. Bye!